Commissioner Gandy,
Here.
Commissioner Campos,
Here.
Commissioner Butcher,
Here.
and Mayor Trujillo.
Here. Commissioner Gandy will lead us in prayer and pledge.
We bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for this wonderful day. Lord, we just thank you for the blessing of rain we've received over the last week. Lord, we just thank you for the many people that came to our community during the Fair and Rodeo. Lord, I just pray for their safety as they travel to wherever it is they go next. Lord, I just pray for wisdom for this commission as we do the city's business. Lord, I just pray that you would give us the foresight to do what is right for our community. Lord, I pray that you would watch over our first responders, our police, and our fire department. Lord, I pray you watch over our military as they protect us in places that none of us ever wish to go. Again, Lord, I just thank you for the many blessings you've blessed this community. And again, Lord, we just thank you for your guidance. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Any opposed? Consideration of minutes, July 23rd, 2018. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Gandy, and the second was Harkin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Staff report, White.
Mayor and fellow commissioners, I have nothing to report at this time. He said,
Any questions from the board? Anybody got any questions for White?
Well, I guess I do have one. During our big rainstorms over here off of 17th, I don't know if y'all expected it, but we had one house that was nearly, water was up to that house. I took pictures of it. I don't even have the address of that place, but it was right off from 17th going down, 17th and D. On the west side of the road. I wish I could remember that address, but water was really standing in that front yard. It looked like a little lake. And so I didn't want to bug anybody over the weekend about it when it was standing there, but I figured I'd bring it up. So the drainage is not, I don't think it's working appropriate there.
as far as off-site of the roadway?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if the drain was stopped up or what. I went by the next morning, I saw a lot of debris there, so that could have been a problem. So I'm not really sure.
Most evidence around, we'll check that out.
Any other questions?
I got one.
Yes, sir.
Speaking about the rain, on Avenue C, I live on Avenue C, right next to the park. That park, we fixed it maybe a couple of years ago because it would flood. It was even worse now. I mean, it was a lake. You could swim right there. And I know they fixed it. It took a long time to fix it. I wondered if they were ever going to get through. And they finally did, but it's even worse now. I don't know if it's, why?
It's not currently, we did fix the busted up valley gutter that was there and widened it and fixed the asphalt because it was really beat out and everything. The way that the road is designed from what I see is that there is no exit. Only exit is down the alleyway by Burger Builders and out to Main Street. And it actually needs to be reworked in that alleyway.
The backside of the park there, that's where it was all flooded, right there on Avenue C.
Yes, sir.
Don't they have a way to put drainage in there or something to alleviate the situation?
We can definitely look at it.
Well, we'd like to have it done because it's pretty bad.
Something we can address in the future when they start on Avenue D project or something. Probably be the only time and the only financing we have available. Gary?
Your mayor and commission, I have nothing to report.
Questions from the board?
Not yet.
Mayor, commissioners, I have nothing to report.
Anna?
Nothing to report, sir.
Commissioner Sanchez.
I got a lot to report, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna have mercy on you.
Commissioner Bernard.
Well, I was gonna ask, Miss Anna, I guess it was about a week or so ago, she attended, the New Mexico,
The local election?
the local election deals,
Yes, sir.
and, I know we, and I think we did, opted out of that, right?
We are going to, yes.
Okay,
That's the decision for the commission.
so is that's coming up, because I know the
Yes, sir.
state wants to pursue that, and I don't really think they should have their hands in our local government like that, or our local elections, so.
Sure thing, sir. But the only thing, I guess I could report from that was just, one of the things that they did state was how much they were, the annual fee that it would be for the Lovington. It's about $2,000 per year that we would pay the county or the local, for us to participate with the election. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I have no questions. Mr. Compton.
Just a couple of things. Quick shout out to Leslie and the job that you guys did on the parade. That was magnificent. Big turnout. So it looked like a great parade. So we appreciate all the work that everybody did that was involved in that. Again, thank you very much. And also, since we have Mr. Gallagher in the audience, we want to thank you and for a great show out there for County Fair. I think it was a big turnout, great show, and especially want to thank law enforcement for being out there and ensuring that everybody was well taken care of. So thank you guys. That's all I have.
Mr. Gaines.
I haven't got a clue today.
Big Chief.
Nothing to report, sir.
Big Chief.
Little Chief. Okay.
Nothing to report, sir.
James.
Actually, sir, the only thing that we have is, remember at 8:30 tonight, we have our movie in the park.
Patrick.
Nothing to report, sir.
Thanks.
I did come up with something now.
Yes.
We can retract. I'd like to commend Speedy Faith because of the great job he did with Brian Riker. He's brought a lot of honor to Lovington and to New Mexico. So just thank Mr. Faith for the great coaching he did on probably one of the best players that we'll ever see here in Lovington. And he's brought a lot of honor to us, and I commend Speedy for his coaching and his great work ethic and for his Christian attitude. He's a great Christian. I commend him. Thank him for that.
Thank you, Art. Great. Going to move on to public comment. Anybody in the audience want to make a comment? Go ahead, Mr. Baker.
I appreciate that, Mr. Sanchez. That's awful nice. And that's kind of why I'm here tonight. I just got off the phone a couple hours ago with Brian, and he wanted me to personally thank everybody involved in the watch party at the theater and all of the events that took place. And being the humble person he is, you know, he didn't know that he deserved anything like that, but it was pretty cool. And obviously I was in Canton, and I know that most of you all probably watched his speech, and he did mention Lovington several times, and Brian has obviously never hesitated to claim this as his home. And I feel very privileged to have been associated with him and with Lovington. I moved here a long time ago, and I've been here most all that time, but this is my home too. But Brian wanted me to tell everybody thank you that was involved. On that note, I'm coming to the City Commission to get the ball rolling. I want the community of Lovington, not just the city, but we're going to need a lot of involvement here. I want to erect a monument to Brian. And talking to him today, again, he kind of brushed it off and said, you know, I don't deserve a statue or a monument, but I think he does, and I think most people would agree with me, because he has represented Lovington very well, southeast of Mexico, and all of New Mexico. You can't imagine how many people I talked to in Canton who wanted to know about Bryan and also wanted to know about New Mexico and Lovington. And when it came to Lovington, I told them, you know, we're just a bunch of blue-collar workers. We work hard, and that's kind of where Bryan picked up his work ethic, along from with his mother. She instilled that in him. So, and Troy Leonard. So, and he thanked those people. But I want to get the ball rolling on this. After talking to Bryan, my idea of a monument was a life-size deal. I didn't know if we wanted to put it on Main Street somewhere, or if we wanted to put it at the courthouse somewhere somehow. But I think probably the natural place for it to go would be at the football stadium. Bryan kind of felt the same way about that. So I'll be approaching the school about being able to do that. My plans were to generate as much money as we can from the community. I've been in contact with one of the bronze monument builders. They're from Lander, Wyoming. They're the ones responsible for all, or maybe all, of the statues in Artesia that you see lined up on Main Street. And so they do quality work. You know, this isn't going to be just a, you know, piece of nothing. We're going to do it right if we're going to do it. And it's going to take a lot. It really is. After talking to Mr. Cobb today in Lander, Wyoming, they have a artist that they commissioned to do it, and he's expensive. He kind of charges by the foot. So Bryan being 6'5" is going to hurt us there on that account. But he suggested that we make it an 8-foot deal, because he said whenever you get bronze, it looks like a little smaller than it actually is. So he charges $12,000 a foot. So we're talking about $96,000 to $100,000. I think we can raise that. I believe we can. With the community of Lovington, I know they're very generous people, and the oil field booming is going to help us a little bit, I believe. And so I'll kind of spearhead the fundraising thing, but absolutely would love to have as many people on board as possible, because it's going to be quite an undertaking. It's not anything that we're going to be able to do real quick. I think the school's planning on trying to have Bryan here during football season. That's not going to be possible to have it done by then. And he did mention that he was planning on coming. The Hall of Fame gives out a plaque to the high school, and it'd be really cool if he can be here for that. He's going to try. So, questions? Let me also mention, not only has he been inducted into the Professional Football Hall of Fame, he was also inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame back in December. And I've also nominated him for the High School Hall of Fame probably next July. So that's still in the works, but the other two obviously have been accomplished. And when you think about the Pro Football Hall of Fame, there's only 318 inductees total. Out of all of the football players that have played professional football, 318, and Bryan's one of them. And that's pretty outstanding. My trip up there, I mean, I was telling someone, I thought I was going to wake up and it wasn't going to be real, because it really is overwhelming to see all of that. But anyway, enough about that. Questions that you might have for me at this time? Yes, sir.
Where's the College Hall of Fame?
It's actually located in Atlanta, Georgia, but they had the induction ceremony in New York City, which was awesome.
Where's the college?
Yes, College Football Hall of Fame. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is in Canton, Ohio.
Yeah.
So, and those folks, I mean, it's unreal what they do. It's not a very big city, and they got thousands and thousands of volunteers that help make that thing go. It's really pretty incredible. If you ever get a chance, you got to go. And I know I'll visit with the school board and Miss Candy about where we're going to put it, but I really think it should be at the stadium the more I've thought about it. And it doesn't hurt, off of the record, for the Artesia people and the Hobbs people to have to come through the gates and see that statue of Bryant. Not that I think that way anymore, but once it's in you, it always is, I guess. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
all right.
We appreciate you speaking. Mike?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I just wanted to comment on some of the remarks that Commissioner Campos made. On behalf of the county, we greatly appreciate Lovington's participation and cooperation to make our 2018 Fair and Rodeo a success. Law enforcement and the public safety, all the first responders did a great job. We really appreciate all their hard work and their cooperations, and we appreciate the patience that the city of Lovington had while, I know we took up the streets and there was some traffic, but we really appreciate you guys' work. Leslie at the Chamber, thanks so much. She did a great job on the parade. But again, on behalf of the county, thanks so much for being a partner to make our Fair and Rodeo a success. Thanks.
Mike, did you make us any punch lists or anything that we may improve?
We're on, I think, I need to check with our Public Works Director. I think we're on the second book right now. I'm glad we laughed. Anyway, no, we're good. We're good. We're good. Thank you, Mayor.
We appreciate it.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners, and I do want to thank Mike Gallagher for not yelling back at me when I yelled at you to move your Suburban out of the way, because I didn't have that on the list. So I know. So thank you for being nice about that. And we have some of the volunteers, so I do want to thank them. Thank Ron and Marla Price and Evelyn Holguin for making a great parade. So we really enjoyed it, and it was my first one, so I already got notes for next year. Also tomorrow, one thing is about the Chamber of Commerce is that we're here for not only supporting our business, for business education. So I always make a big effort to find topics and connect businesses with different things. So we're bringing in Holtec International tomorrow for 2 public sessions, one at 9 to 10 o'clock and one 2 to 3. Joy Russell, who is the Vice President of Business Development, and John Heaton, who is the Vice Chair of Eddie Lee Energy Alliance, will be here just to present information to the public. So that will be tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Appreciate it. Anybody else from the audience? Okay, moving forward to non-action items, James.
Mayor and Commissioners, we have, of course, our discussion over our 2020-2024 ICIP. This document, actually, the final document is due to local government divisions. So we'll take formal action on this at our next City Commission meeting. Right now we have, and you can see in the packet, a list of all of our projects. We roughly have $76.4 million in projects. It's a combination of equipment, facility, and roadway needs. So one of the things that I'm asking the City Commission to do is go through that document and identify the top 5 projects we would like to present for capital outlay requests, which we'll be submitting shortly after that ICIP is actually approved. I would stand for any questions you may have.
Any questions about the board? Go ahead, James.
Following up on the conversation that we had at our last City Commission meeting in regards to speeding issues that we have throughout town, we do have the radar signs on order. We don't have an estimated delivery date, but hopefully those things will be up soon, and they are the radar tracking, kind of a know your speed, but it also has the smart software in there to where we can actually identify whether or not it was just a visual perception of speeding or people actually speeding down those roads. But what we have also looked at is, as brought up previously, was increasing or potentially increasing traffic fines that we have. Now we actually had every year Our uniform traffic ordinance, we adopt that by reference, and it does list the minimum fines that are required. However, we are requesting that at the next meeting we go ahead and begin the advertisement process to adopt those changes, but also add the option of penalty assessment, which allows an individual who receives a citation to simply mail in their fines. They don't have to go to court and enter a plea. But the fines are actually set by ordinance. We did do a comparison just on the speeding. There is about 3 pages of ordinances that are, violations that are eligible for penalty assessment. But just looking at the fine comparison, right now we charge, or the fines that are assessed here in Lovington, those are set by the minimum that state statute allows. These other communities, they have actually adopted penalty assessment and they set those fees, and you can see there is a substantial difference. So what we would like to do is get some direction from the City Commission as to, do we want to include just the minimum fines, or do we want to increase them to a comparable community? Do we want to increase all fines across the board a certain percentage? But this is something that we definitely would appreciate input on, so we can move forward with this ordinance adoption. Yes, sir.
I would think it would be good to do it, increase it for those that are repeat offenders. You know, whoever is caught.
Easy now, easy now.
I don't think there's a provision in there for someone that's had a second, third, or fourth speeding ticket,
Well,
unlike what you see with a second, third, and fourth DWI. So I don't think that'd be something we could accomplish.
Mr. Mayor, go ahead, sir.
I wouldn't see a problem with adjusting our penalties to reflect the other communities about the same size, maybe Artesia or Oswald, Portales, places like that, because I think it does look like we're way low compared to them. Also, a question for the chief regarding the penalty assessment. Would that be an entry of guilty or no contest?
Yes.
Okay, either or?
Yes.
Okay. As long as the public understands that when they sign that they're entering that kind of plea, basically when they decide to mail it in. But I don't see any problem with raising our penalty fines. What do you guys think?
I think the reason I wanted to bring this up is because I wanted to use it as a deterrent for people to start slowing down, starting to get traffic to high speed traffic, and everybody's asking for more stop signs around the school areas, speed bumps, and so forth. So I figure with this might help us deter some of the speeding that's going on within our community. So so right there clearly illustrates that we're about half of what everybody else is, especially when you go into Artesia. So I mean, double the fine based off our current rate would most likely, once it starts to affect somebody's pocketbook, I guarantee that most likely they'll be thinking about driving a little bit slower. So that, I think, definitely in favor of increasing the fines. Mr. Gandy?
Chief, roughly how many citations, I realize that through the court system, but roughly how many citations a month do we write for speeding?
I would say close to from 50 to 70, just depending, maybe a little bit more.
I just curious how the community's written.
And it just varies.
I understand.
So the direction from the board, is that what you're asking?
Sir, we'll bring you back a draft ordinance, and it seems that they do want to see that increase.
Yes, sir.
So we'll bring back some proposed fines at the next city commission meeting, and if we want to make those changes prior to advertisement, we can.
Would appreciate that.
I got one more.
Yes, sir.
Chief, like these other communities, have you checked to see if with all the fines that as much as they charge them, has it alleviated their situations over there?
I would defer to Chief Rodriguez.
No, I have not checked with them to see if it actually affected when they increased their fines. I have not, but I will.
How do you base the fee cost for the, how is that, is there a certain percentage or a dollar figure? I mean, it just looks like,
So, well, Mayor and Commissioners, the way these are set or like what we're using, for instance, those fees are actually set, or penalties are set by state statute.
okay.
And so they set that, and that basically means that this is the minimum fine that you will pay. However, in order to increase that, it does take local ordinance.
Okay. So these are just state statutes?
Correct.
That this is the minimum that has to be?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So the direction of the board would be to bring something forward to increase the funds. Go ahead, James.
Actually, these are action
Okay,
items.
action item. Moving on to action items. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to consider Resolution 2018-73, approval to advertise Ordinance 561, an ordinance of the City of Lovington authorizing the execution of a project participation agreement providing funding to the Lovington Economic Development Corporation to purchase and renovate the former Lovington cheese plant facility in Lovington, Lee County, New Mexico.
Second.
A motion and second. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, actually Evelyn Holguin will be providing an EDC perspective on this, but the nuts and bolts of this ordinance that we would like hopefully to have the City Commission approve tonight for advertisement for an economic development project. As you can tell by the motion that was stated, is that the EDC feels it's in our best interest to use local economic development funds to acquire the cheese plant property. If you recall, back in 2007, the cheese plant did cease operation. They basically moved their cheese manufacturing out of the area, and the building has remained vacant since 2007. There's been multiple attempts by our EDC. We've come really close on 4 different occasions where the EDC has been working with different companies wanting to move into the cheese plant, but we've usually run into a timing issue between the owner of the facility and also the company that would like to move in, whether it be just slow response or they weren't willing to negotiate on a purchase price, or there were restrictions on the property, such as if it's dairy related, we're not even interested in having you come to the community. So the EDC has taken the stance that we actually had an offer several months ago. If you weren't aware, WDT Transporter, the company that owns them, they are the milk haulers located to the south, had approached Dairy Farmers of America to purchase some property so they could expand their truck bay operation. And DFA actually said, well, we'll do that, but you have to buy the entire cheese plant property. They did buy that property, and the first thing that they did was contact me, which I did refer them to our EDC. They were interested in our help in filling that facility. However, we did discuss with them. They were interested in selling instead of just finding a tenant to lease. So that's how we got to this point tonight. So what this ordinance will do is it will allow the city to enter into a project participation agreement between the city and the Lovington Economic Development Corporation. The city will not own this building, the EDC will. This allows the EDC a little bit more flexibility in terms of negotiating with prospective tenants or buyers of the property, since they are an independent third party. But this project participation agreement would acquire the property. It also would allow for renovation of the property, provide some funding for that, and also allow some maintenance and operation funding. The ordinance will also allow for us to execute a guarantee with the bank as far as how this project's financed, and this is where the city comes in. The city's contribution is that we would help, or we would actually make the debt service payments. Debt service payments won't exceed $100,000 a year. This will be at least a 7-year debt service project, and that does not come close to even exceeding what our annual revenue is from just the local option gross receipts fund, or the LEDA fund as we call it. The funding will be provided through that. We'll also maintain a 1-year debt service coverage, so essentially we'll purchase a CD for around $90,000 to $100,000 that will stay in the bank, and that's the bank's assurance that the annual payment will be made. In addition to that, there will be some ongoing utility costs, insurance costs, maintenance, security out at the site, and also some renovation requirements. So the city would provide $50,000 to the Lovington EDC each year for 3 years, or until the property is either sold or leased to a tenant. So that way they have some funding to maintain and take care of the facility. The actual amount of debt service, it would be a $550,000 loan, in which this loan would cover the expected renovation costs of the facility as well as the acquisition of the property. What the EDC is required to do, though, is get this place ready for lease or sale. They would have until September 11th of 2021 to have the property occupied by a long-term tenant. What the long-term tenant means is that they would generate gross receipts tax and jobs in Lovington for no less than 5 years. In addition to that, they have to create and retain at least 10 jobs on that site by 2026. And any proceeds from the lease or the sale of the property would revert back to the Logert Fund to replenish that. The project site, of course, you can see we actually have quite a bit of space there. Of course, the property is outlined in green, but you can see the different square footage that we have. We have 15,000 square foot of cold storage out there, as well as vast amounts of warehousing. This property doesn't necessarily have to be sold to one tenant. That would be preferable, but they do have the option to lease it out to several different tenants. The offices and lab, I know everybody's question is the fire that occurred a couple of months ago. The fire was confined to the front of the facility where the offices and the upstairs laboratory was actually held, but the rest of it, the cold storage, the rest of the warehousing was not damaged in the fire. There will be, of course, the renovation work on the frontage of the property to get that into a usable space. But then I will turn this over to Ms. Holguin so she can give you their perspective of the EDC.
Good afternoon, mayors, commissioners. As James elaborated, I've been with the EDC for the last 10 years. In the last 10 years, we've had 4 great projects that have come through. 2007, we have a lot of interest. The state puts out potential recruitment opportunities every so often. When the oil field was down, we would get 1, maybe every 6 months. Since January till now that the oil field is up and going, I have responded to 4 PROs just for that facility. That doesn't include any other ones for other buildings that we have available. Just today at 4:30 p.m., the state contacted me. A PRO went out at 4:30 today for potential for that property as well. So there is a lot of interest. There's a lot of folks out there looking for a facility that's 80,000 to 100,000 square foot facility. It's got cold storage. It's perfect. It's still in working condition. It's just that it's going to be a little bit more difficult now that it was vandalized. But we did assess it. A few of my board members, we did go a day after it was vandalized. We do feel that it can be saved. It's just the front portion of it. The rest of it would have to be cleaned out because, I mean, it's been 10 years that it's been sitting there. So a lot of animals, a lot of updating that we would have to do, but we would be able to find a tenant for it. Just to give you a little bit of what our plans are, we do plan on hiring a project manager for this project of this magnitude. And this project manager will make sure that we stay on budget and that this project moves forward. Me personally, I will attend 4 trade shows this coming year, starting 2019. Those are included in part of our budgets. I will attend a manufacturing show in Berlin, Germany in March. I'm going to attend this show with a state representative, the new cabinet secretary, and hopefully the new governor. 3 communities were chosen from New Mexico, and Lovington was one, Roswell was one, and Gallup was the other. So we will all travel together. It will be about a 1.5-week long trip where a foreign investment company will set up over 40 meetings within a week span for us to be able to sell what we have available in our town. And our main focus is going to be to sell the cheese plant. That's going to be our focus. In May, I will attend a trade show in Las Vegas, Nevada, and that's a retail show. So we will market it for retail as well. I will attend a oil and gas show. It's the largest oil and gas show in the world. It's in Calgary, Canada. That's one of our best shows because we are all about oil and gas in our area. And then at the end of June, we attend a foreign investment show in Washington, D.C., where every country, every state is there for that trade show. Do you have any questions for me regarding this building?
Yeah, I got one. Say like you go to this trade show in Germany and you sell a cheese plant, you won't be making the other trips to the other places?
Well, we still have other buildings that we do have available. We do have a wide inventory of vacant buildings, as you are aware, in our community. And we also, not only will market this building, but we'll also market the other empty ones. We also market our industrial park. So it's an ongoing, I mean, just because we get one project does not mean we're going to stop. We're going to continue. And we're marketing the whole city.
Well, and I was going to ask, what kind of time frame are we looking at on getting it renovated, you know, so you can get it out there for?
My board president, he's actually a contractor, and he was the one that came up with numbers on how much it's going to cost to renovate it, how long, what the time frame, and it's all estimations because we don't know yet exactly time frames or how long it's going to take for closing or when we're going to be able to take ownership of the facility. But we are looking at about 8 to 9 months of renovation. I mean, we are going to market it even though it's going through the renovation process. All these PROs that I submit the PROs like if the facility is in the same order it was. So that's what our time frame is. We're hoping by 8 to 9 months that facility is renovated and complete. But I mean, if we were to get a tenant before that, then that's where the state can come in and help with funds. The state cannot help with funding for us to renovate it. But if there was a tenant for it, then they can provide funds because it does have someone that is going to create jobs. We're not creating jobs, we're just renovating and preparing it for economic development. But if we were to find a tenant, we can actually save money on the renovation costs. If we were to find a tenant, then state will come in and help with funding as well.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Orgy, don't you think that you need a particular commissioner to accompany you on these long and laborious trips? I know how tough they can get.
It's tough. It's tough, and it's crazy because I've had about 20 volunteers that have.
I bet you have.
Yeah, I've had.
I'm only kidding.
No, but it's to these trips. It's usually either me and sometimes a board of director that goes with me.
Very good.
But.
Oh, really?
David's one of my board of directors.
Okay.
Yes. Well, both Davids are board of directors.
Okay.
So.
Very good.
Mr. Gannon, Ms. Olgi, on the project manager, are you going to go out for bid? Are you going to appoint it, interview? What's the process on that?
We will actually put it out kind of like a job. We will interview people. We actually, as EDC, since we're a nonprofit, we don't have to go out for an RFP, but we can interview folks for that position. And we'll look and see who's the best candidate or that can make that happen.
On the cost of that, James, will that have to be approved by the board as additional costs or just go directly through EDC since it's tax? Or we're going to receive it from tax funding is what I'm referring to, from economic development.
Mayor, we would, all we're essentially doing is providing payment for the loan. This project would exclusively be the Economic Development Corporations.
Okay.
So as far as selecting vendors or contractors to work on the building, that is at the discretion of the EDC.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. Yes, sir. Thank you. Any other questions by the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, resolution 2018-74, Resolution making certain findings and determinations pursuant to New Mexico Metropolitan Redevelopment Code and approving the Lovington Downtown Metropolitan Redevelopment Area Plan.
Second.
A motion and second. James?
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, of course, our MRA plan, we've had numerous public meetings to update that. Of course, this was paid for through an NMFA grant. But the MRA plan, essentially what this does is it helps with address some of the public health and welfare conditions in a certain area, which we've identified as beginning at essentially Avenue D and terminating at Polk Street along the Main Street corridor. It includes portions of First Street as well as Love Street. But it also helps with conservation improvement and expansion of commercial building stock. Really, it's to help inspire and create economic development in the downtown area. This MRA district, we have successfully used it twice, once with the acquisition and the project for the Lee Theater, as well as the Drylands Brewing project. This just provides us this extra tools in our economic development toolbox. We've had numerous meetings, public meetings to receive public input. We did present the draft plan a couple of weeks ago to the public. The plan is available on the city's website in its draft format. If it's approved tonight, the final plan will be posted on our website as well. Once we have finalized this plan, we will turn around and at the September 10th meeting, we'll actually have a resolution to close out this project to get our reimbursement from the New Mexico Finance Authority.
Go ahead.
Does this have anything to do with the whole thing downtown? With the redevelopment of the downtown area? You know,
this is part of the downtown redevelopment.
I recall that a lot of people didn't want the sidewalks with the bike paths.
Sir, Mayor, Commissioners, this has nothing to do with New Mexico Department of Transportation. No, I misheard you. This has nothing to do with the reconstruction of the highway. This is just a plan as far as where we want to see it.
I mean the sidewalks that they were talking about, not the highway, but the sidewalks that they wanted to put for a bike path. A lot of people were.
Correct.
Does that have anything to do with that?
No, sir.
Okay, that's good. That's what I wanted.
Any other questions by the board?
No, sir.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we consider resolution 218-75 approving an economic development project for water main replacement and extension.
Second.
And a motion is second. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, what we're wanting to do is access our LEDA funds in order to improve the infrastructure along the western side of Main Street, which will involve replacing the water line from Avenue E all the way to Avenue C, upgrade that to an 8-inch water line. The timing is actually pretty good considering that McDonald's is fixing to do their complete renovation and bring things up, a new facility as well as sprinkler systems, but we also have other property along Main Street that require larger lines for development. So this project would not exceed $40,000 using local economic development funds. And we did receive from the EDC's due diligence committee, we did receive the go-ahead or recommendation that we proceed with this particular project. This will also help us to isolate the old water main that goes east-west on Avenue D.
So just, we're putting an 8-inch line from E to C. Is there another 8-inch line we're tying into, or is it, how's that all work in there?
Actually, prior to this, actually there's a 4-inch main on First Street. Currently, right now, the 8-inch line comes all the way from Love Street, heading west to Avenue C, and dead ends into a 4-inch, and the 4-inch carries on. We are, just like James said, we are wanting to delete that 8-inch main that is going east to west from Love to First Street because of all the issues with it from prior to 1960s and pipe that's in the ground. So extending on the end of the 8-inch, tying it into First Street in the easement, so it does feed that 4-inch, and then we can isolate the 8-inch main that's in Main Street, or Avenue D.
That'll be able to supply McDonald's with what they need, and then
It'll supply,
KW ever gets
continue supplying everything after the 8-inch is pulled out.
And are we planning on contracting that out, or do we have the manpower, or how is that set up to be done?
It's going to be contracted out.
So we do, okay, we currently got anybody in mind that, is it,
No, sir.
we just hadn't put out bids yet? And how long are we looking at for this line to be, or roads to be tore up like that?
It's actually,
Go ahead.
It's really not the roadway that's gonna be tore up, it's the alleyway. It's the main alleyway all the way from the car wash on Avenue B down to the McDonald's, the end of McDonald's on Avenue C. From the prior plans, they were actually gonna have the board underneath Avenue B, so they were not gonna tear it up. It's getting the grant and everything, or the permission for cutting from New Mexico DOT. So it should not take no more than, I would say, 90 days to get the project done, to complete it, possibly way less.
And nobody's affected by it anyway. So
No,
be
sir.
good. Yeah, be good. Commissioner Gann?
No, when you said they were born, I'm good with that.
So
We
they will
didn't
not,
need-
you're not gonna tear up the main street there on,
D.
from C, you're gonna do the back end.
Yes, we're actually going through the alleyway in between
Right.
First and Main Street.
Well, I thought you were gonna do the front, I said, well, might as well do the gradings, cause it's right there. You can take care of the gradings while you're at it. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table Resolution 2018-76, based on the opinion that I don't feel ready to move forward, based on the fact that all bids came in at least $1 million over our proposed and approved budget.
I'll second that.
A motion second. Any discussion on that? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
If I may, Mayor and Commissioners, I would recommend not tabling it and at least doing what the resolution states, which would be to tentatively award the project depending upon successful negotiation with the contractor that was selected by the selection committee to see if we can come down on that price.
May I address that? I understand that, James. I appreciate the information, but at the same time, that I know that we got to make certain accommodations to reach that position, and I'm not willing to dip into the reserves or willing to cut off other projects in order to get there. I think we can revisit this and do a better job.
And my fear of the whole thing was, let's say if it were only $1 million, and I tell you, we run into this every time, it's the change orders. Out of it's 1.5 when we're done, say, with the project, and I was thinking about that, and it's always the change orders. I don't know how much change orders they could possibly come across this size project, but if, let's say if we went on forward with it to 1.3, then all of a sudden with all the change orders end up being 1.8, you know, and then we're gonna have to dip further into our reserves to accommodate that. That was my fear on that. But Commissioner Campos made that motion to table it and to see if we can't come up with a better plan on it, James.
If I may.
Go ahead, sir.
By tabling this does not allow us, it's in limbo at that point. By tentatively awarding it, it does give us the ability to negotiate, and if we don't like the final number, the commission can reject it, and then we can restart the bid process. But tabling it, it does not allow us that flexibility to reach out to the contractor, nor does it give us the go-ahead to go back out to bid.
Or how about if we reject it? entire,
Then we would go back out to bid.
I think that's the action I think Commissioner Campos most likely would take.
Let me revise that motion then.
Let me ask him a question before you do that. So if we do not approve of it, they will rescind this money that, you know, that we have for this station? Will they withhold it? Is that what?
No, sir. No, sir.
We're doing?
No, the funding is still there, Mayor and Commissioners, the funding is still there.
Commissioner Campos was saying he wasn't approving of the bids that were left.
So, Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, I can make a motion to consider the resolution, and everybody votes based on how they feel.
Correct. So there's a couple different ways to do it, but yeah, you're right.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to consider Resolution 2018-76, award of RFP for 17th Street Fire Station construction.
Second?
Got a motion and second? Yes, sir.
Can we restate that just so we're all clear? Just so I make sure we rescinded the first one and restate the current motion, please.
That is correct.
I made a motion to consider it.
Okay.
That's all I'm making a motion on.
Just want to make sure.
Is there any discussion by the board? James?
No, sir.
Roll call vote in?
Commissioner Campos?
No.
Commissioner Butcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez?
No.
Commissioner Gandy?
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo?
No. So, noes have it. So, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor, for resolution 2018-77 that will provide the appointment of individuals to the Planning and Zoning Commission for 3-year terms, as well as appointing an individual for fill Ron Humphrey's position on the board as he has resigned. I nominate Brenda Garcia, Randy Pettigrew, Betty Price to retain their positions. And also nominate Scott Boyd to fill Ron Humphrey's position. And I nominate Brian Cooper to take Clint Lawrence's position, because we feel as a commission he does not have the best interest to the city of Lovington and the commission.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion?
Do we have a second?
Or-
Okay, I didn't hear it. Sorry. Apologize.
All right. Any discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to consider resolution 218-78, lodgers, tax board appointments.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and second by Commissioner Bernard. James?
Sir, we just need the motion amended to indicate who you would like to serve in those positions that we have available.
Bertha, did you want to make that? You want to amend that, Art? Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes, I make a motion. We reappoint Kelly Farrell, we appoint Kelly Richards, we appoint Robbie Roberts, or replace with, where we appoint Parker Sanchez Jr., we appoint Lisa Spears.
Is that correct? All in one? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to consider Resolution 2018-79, support of great blocks on Main Street grant applications.
Second.
James?
Mayor, Commissioners, Lovington Main Street is wanting to apply for a grant through New Mexico Main Street. It's actually responding to an RFP for what they call Great Blocks on Main Street. It's a community competition that provides funding for design and economic vitality projects that will upgrade at least 3 blocks of a community. They provide $72,000 in funding to plan and produce some construction documents. The area that Main Street, it does have to occur in the Main Street district. And what Lovington Main Street would like to apply for is funding for the design assistance to work on sidewalk curb improvements, lighting improvements, some landscape, as well as some other pedestrian improvements along Central Avenue from Main Street to First Street, and then down First Street between Central and Avenue A. The grant does require matching funds in the amount of $20,000. The resolution that we have presented tonight would provide support for this application, as well as we would help to contribute towards that $20,000 match for the design work.
Any questions by the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a resolution 2018-80, approval of block party, street closure permit for Brew Festival, September 8, 2018.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioner Campos? Go ahead.
Mayor and Commissioners, Lovington Main Street is helping to put on the second Brew Fiesta event. They have changed the venues this time. They would like to keep it around Love Street. They're requesting that these streets be closed on Avenue A from Main Street to Love Street, as well as a portion of Love Street from Avenue A up to the south side of the alley between Central and Avenue A. The closure would begin the day of the event, and the roads would be opened back up after everything is broken down, including the stage, the next morning by 8 a.m. This would occur on September 8th.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
James, is that going to be music taking place as well?
Actually, I have Mara here for Evelyn, is it? Sorry. Okay. Mara filled it out.
Good afternoon, evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We will be starting at 4 o'clock. We will have live music from 4 till midnight. We have 4 country bands scheduled, and we're working on the Spanish acts. As you remember, this was a collaborative effort between us and EDC last year to kind of unite the community and bring forth a festival that represented both of the cultures here. So.
Very good.
This is not going to hurt or mess up Miss Nike. You know, the last time.
That was one of the reasons why we reconsidered. If you are aware, Cinco de Mayo was there last year, and we had no issues. I did explain to Mara that we are able to fit all the vendors within the library parking lot and within the street and our buildings that are right nearby. So we decided that it would, for everyone's best interest, to move it to that same location the same way we did for Cinco.
You can see right there on the map.
So it should not affect your property at all. And like always, we will make sure we clean up the day after. During, in the past, we've worked with the football players to have them coming out to take out trash cans for us and throw them away every so often. We'll be doing that as well this year. And then, like always, the day after, we clean up as early as we get up.
All the buildings that are surrounding this area, they're all owned by the city. So we're not messing with any downtown businesses. They're all, like I said, all the facilities are owned by the city.
You already in the library parking lot. Or Miss Likes right across the alley from right there.
Where we're blocking off the road is before the alley, so she does have access behind the alley.
Well, I see one was not to mess up her trash cans and stuff.
We will make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay.
We are still working with all the downtown businesses, and like always, I will have a after-hours meeting the week before the event to notify them of street closures, the time that it will take. We won't be closing as early. It'll just be later in the night, so hopefully that also helps the traffic flow.
I have one question, Patrick. On the picnic license issued to this Brew Fest, since they're going to have multiple contestants, How are we going to address that? Is it addressed all as a whole, or how does that going to go? James or
So, me again. Actually, we have to file a public celebration permit for each individual liquor license holdee, or I guess liquor or brewery. It's a public it's a public celebration permit for breweries and wineries.
So
I have to file each one individually. Yes, sir.
So each individual have to get the city's permission. Okay.
Yeah, city and states. Yes. But.
So second question would be the area which would be provided. Are we, we've always closed off a certain area just for that. How are we going to? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So we'll be, the stage will be here, and then we'll actually close off this area as the brewery garden or the beer garden.
Okay.
That will house the cornhole tournament, and we will have Red Cup games in there as well, and it'll just expand that portion. So it'll be on the street itself.
And the rest of the area will be just vendors for food and so forth?
Yes, sir. Like Evan was saying, we will be putting all the food vendors in here, and spillover will go this way. We'll leave this area completely open for dancing.
Okay.
And lawn chairs.
Yes, sir.
Can you elaborate on Red Cup games?
Yes, so.
Yes.
Yes. So, but without alcohol, that's the thing.
Oh, okay.
So the cups would actually be filled with water. There's a game that we're looking at, which is basically flip cup, where you just flip the cup. It's a team. The other one is going to be holding growlers, which are sealed, so it's not like anybody's actually drinking during these games. It's just based off of the solo cup.
So my only concern would be that we're asking participants to engage in competition over drinking. We're not doing that, correct?
No, they will not. None of the games will have alcohol to be drank or anything like that. No.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah. We're also, just to elaborate a little bit more, we are also having a food contest. We are jalapeno eating contest. We've discussed several options, but we will have other events going on for other.
Pumpkin painting as well for the kids. We're still bringing that back.
So you're encouraging people not to drink, but to eat.
Yes,
to come,
all
yeah.
ages. Yes.
Come and hang out.
Yes,
all right,
entertainment for all ages.
Thank you.
Any other questions by the board? Mr. Gannon, you good?
Yep, we're good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion we consider accounts payable.
Second.
A motion second. Gary?
Your mayor and commission, I'd like to identify a few items on our payables list starting on the first page. The very first item is the police1.com is the taser instructor course. We teach some of our employees to teach others how to use the tasers. The second item is the 4 imprint, the very second item. We had a youth center summer camp, and so we bought t-shirts for all the kids that participated. And I love just going down to the 4th item on the list, All Smiles Photo Booth. Again, that was another booth that was set up to take pictures for the youth center summer camp. And then as we move down, the next Audie's copier repair service, the finance department, that was basically a monthly payment we make, pays for our ink and regular maintenance on our copy machine in the finance department. And then below that, the Axon Enterprise Incorporated is for a lease that we have for our tasers, for all of our police officers. We're doing our best to make sure we have good tasers for everybody.
Are you testing them?
I haven't been able to test one or be tested. I'm trying not to.
He said that he can arrange that, Gary.
Just want to make sure we're getting quality tasers.
And then the BICI LLC, that's a company. We normally purchase chemicals for the treatment plant. In this case, it says mostly oxidizer chemicals. And then as we move down, another larger expense is the, let's skip down from that. The 4,854 is near the end of the bottom, the consensus planning, the MRA plan. We probably will only have one more payment after this for the MRA plan update. And then, of course, with Dana Nepper, more water supplies, predominantly clamps. And then below that, let me see, let's turn to the next page. And then on page 2, I always find it interesting because it's an annual thing and it's a requirement, and I don't know why, but with the Dr. Patrick Homer, because we provide medical services, I'd actually ask Terrence to give a little more information on that, but it's a biannual payment for us having to have a doctor because we have medical services that are provided by our ambulance department. Is that good enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Do we have to pay him if he doesn't show up?
If he doesn't show up, we're still paying. Yeah. And then below that, the Ellen service, E-L-I-N, that's an annual fee for our library we pay. Basically keeps us connected with all the other libraries and online services. And fortunately, we're provided some funding to help pay for that. And then the next larger item, the $2,660, the Gulls Quartermaster, our fire department needed some new boots and pants for the personnel, so that was the main expenditure there. And then as we moved down to Griffin Diesel and Automotive, we had the $1,161.76, just repairs on one or two of the ambulances. And then just below that, the GT distributors. We had the need to get some more magazines for our police rifles. And then below that, well, let's skip down to something a little more substantial. We have the infrastructure rehabilitation about the middle of the page for the $7,965. And I don't know where the manhole is, but that's to replace a manhole. I'm hoping it's the one at the corner of Avenue D and Jefferson, but probably not. And then as we go down, you'll see the John's carpet barn. That's related, it's $960, but it's related to the leak and the repairs we had to do at the youth center in the kitchen. And this was just replacing the floor after they tore it up. And then below that, we had the Candy Cane water well services. They pulled and replaced well 9, replaced a pump on well 9, and that was the $9,720. And then the Kinsey plumbing expenditures for $32,480 was the primary cost for the repairs for that grease trap and drainage issues that they had in the kitchen at the youth center. And then of course we have the Lee County electric bill at the bottom of the page, the $53,000, which was our second largest expenditure on this particular run. Turning to the third page, some obvious things. The second vendor down, Leco Internet, just normal internet service expenditures. And then as we move down, there's an expense for main event, which was again part of the youth center program for this summer, the $1,105. And then I'd say we skip way down on the page to the $7,043.30 with Phoenix Enterprises. We had purchased something a little unusual, I guess to help with the smell, some kind of atomizer compost spray for the wastewater treatment plant. I thought that was kind of interesting. Then as we move down, Ramirez and Sons, that was the $14,550 payment is related to Love Street in Washington. And then the largest expenditure we have is Reed Insurance, and that's for this current fiscal year, our liability insurance payment, the $276,000. And then the last one on page 3 would be Sandbar Construction Corporation. That was to pay for the striping on Erlacher Street, the $2,062. And then on our last page, page 4, we have our usual Solid Waste Authority and Then if we skip down to Strong Power and Electric, about the 10th vendor down, for the $1,604, they did some light repairs at the facility here at the fire department. And then SWAT, it was kind of interesting that they had some extra work that they did, a little out of the ordinary. They set up some cameras for our police dock, the $1,180. And then the Target Solutions, I thought would be something all related to the police department, but it wasn't. It was related to some safety training for the fire department, that $3,365. And then as we go down, we have the Top Hand LLC. The water department, they needed to replace a motor wash, the motor on the wash trailer. That's the $6,060. And then below that, the trace analysis. That's an annual wastewater treatment samples thing that we do with the New Mexico Environmental Department. And then, of course, moving down to the WGD Architects, that was bid management for our fire station. And I'm available if you have any other questions.
You covered most of it.
That's my effort anyway.
We've noticed that.
Refresh my memory for all the $100 charges.
Safety.
I figured that's what it was, but I just wanted to take base because there's a lot.
That motor, you were talking about that $6,000 motor, how often do you replace those? That one?
I couldn't say. I'd have to defer to Wyatt.
It's the diesel motor that runs our vacuum unit, the trailer unit.
How often do you replace one of those?
We've had our other unit, our premier unit, for the last, I would say, going on 10 years, and we've never replaced it. And so it's one of those that it was something that happened and the motor went south, so hopefully we won't have to replace it for the next 10 to 15 years if it does happen.
As long as it's not a reoccurring one, real soon, that's good.
Chief, from a cost standpoint, how are you looking behind your department over there?
How are we looking as far as?
The investigation, all that housing you're gonna put behind that, and evidence, there we go.
Oh, the garage?
Yeah,
It was submitted into our budget this year. Once the year progresses, we'll go out for bids.
So it's still a go for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have another motion?
Make a motion to adjourn?
A second.
All in favor?